For over 132 years, the Coca-Cola company has been part of many people's lives. Coca-Cola now offers more than 500 brands in over 200 countries worldwide. The Coca-Cola company also employs over 700,000 people, creating economic opportunities in many local communities. The company has also taken the responsibility upon themselves to reduce the environmental impact by replenishing water and promoting recycling. Now, you may ask yourself, what is the secret to the Coca-Cola brand's success? Well, it's the people. The people who have collectively created and benefited from these various initiatives across the African continent. I'm Asanda Mako, and I'll be your guide through these various initiatives that the Coca-Cola company has set up. So join me as we embark on the journey to find the secret formula. There are a number of reasons why poverty has become an epidemic in Africa. Poverty can be the result of political instability, ethnic conflicts, climate change, and other man-made causes. But one of the greatest causes of poverty in Africa is also the most overlooked, the lack of access to clean drinking water. Nearly 1 billion people do not have access to clean, safe water. That's the equivalent of 1 in 8 people on the planet. For these people, poverty is a fact of life. The Coca-Cola company is admittedly a large consumer of water, so the right thing to do was always to establish water security and corporate responsibility regarding Africa's water challenge. The goal was to put more water back into the system than the water that was being used to manufacture the soft drinks. Coca-Cola's system-wide water efficiency has improved for 15 consecutive years now. But we're jumping the gun here. I think it's important to get a general overview of just how Coca-Cola are not only encouraging, but enforcing water efficiencies in the Southern and East Africa business unit. Our first, shall we say, tributary on this flowing journey is to sit down and chat to Mark Brasler, Head of Quality, Environmental and Safety at the Coca-Cola company.
Without water, we don't have a business. Secondly, we also, specifically in water-stressed and water-risk areas, we actually compete for water. So where you have areas where municipalities do allocations of water, we need to be a responsible citizen in terms of how we use that water. So I think if you look at some of the efficiency we've seen in the system, and you look at CCBA, which is our biggest bottler we have within the business unit, they've actually come down from 2.7 litres per litre of product down to 1.98 over the last 5-10 years, which is quite a significant improvement. If you look at Coca-Cola Southern Africa, from a South African perspective, they've managed over the last 7 years to save 716 million odd litres of water, which is equivalent to supplying 8,000 households with 250 litres of water a day. So if you look at it from an innovation perspective, the company has done a lot of work, and we have what we call a Quality Safety Environmental Council. That is run through, it has members sitting on the board come from corporate, they come from the business units like myself, and we also have our top-to-top bottlers, which is our top 10 bottlers globally. On those forums, we actually picked 3 or 4 key workstream items to work on. Now, the new ones we just refreshed now for the Environmental Council, the one workstream of the 4 is particularly related to water use minimization. So of that, they're actually looking at 3 things. They're looking at new technologies that we can start looking at, from getting to a zero discharge type of situation. They're also looking at what programs we need to be looking at over and above the next generation of programs. As we start trying to get to the 1.2 litres per litre benchmark, which is a global benchmark. How do we take this now to the next level to ensure that we ensure the water we do get, we're able to use sustainably, or the water that gets used in the RAIN program, we actually doing the part inside the 4 walls of the facilities.
It's great to see that the Coca-Cola company is indeed taking responsibility to the next level and quite literally putting their money where their mouths are. But what is Project RAIN and how did it come about? To find the answers to this question, I'm headed out to Dorcas Onyango, Head of Sustainability for the Southern and East African Business Unit.
RAIN in full is Replenish Africa initiative. And you can look at RAIN in many ways, but ultimately it's about Coca-Cola working with others to bring improved access to water for 6 million people in Africa. Today, what RAIN has become is a $200 million private-public partnership between Coca-Cola and over 140 NGOs. We are supported by an organization called GTF, the Global Environment and Technology Fund that brings all of us together to bring our resources, our focus, and our partnership goals so that we can reach as many people as possible through different types of initiatives. Because water is a very, very local issue. So RAIN is working in 41 countries. We are in over 2,000 communities. Because of this, 140 NGOs. We are either sinking boreholes, we are strengthening utilities, we are looking at watersheds, we are looking at rainwater harvesting, we are looking at education, we are looking at every aspect that is locally relevant in a particular community to make sure that people have access to clean water. The fact of the matter, especially in Africa, is the problem with climate change is experienced by women. The watersheds that they are now competing with industry and agriculture for water, women go to fetch water there on their two legs. So industry and agriculture must be very conscious as we secure water for ourselves, consistently have the fate of women in our consciousness and in our plans. So with RAIN, you will see a lot more focus on women. And when I mean a lot more focus is being more deliberate around how we change very specific aspects of her life. I think RAIN is very successful. As I said, we started at a time when it was very worrying that Africa was headed in the wrong direction. So we defined our success by how many people we could reach at a level that we could consider scale. And we hope that we will use that to influence other people to say, we've got to go beyond 6 million. It's got to be double that, triple that, or whatever scale looks like. Initially, when we started, when I joined the program in 2009, USAID gave us $1 for every dollar that we invested. So we had invested $30 million, and they invested with us almost the same amount. Subsequent to that, there have been several other great organizations, bilaterals, NGOs, as I said, 140 of them. We've been able to progress from just certain types of interventions to a broader set of interventions. And what does that mean? It means we are relevant and we are solving the life problems and the relationships that people have with water.
Carlos Pagoga is the Group Director, Partnerships, Global Community Affairs for the Coca-Cola Company. He's based in Atlanta, Georgia, but unfortunately, I cannot go to meet him personally, so I'll just have to settle for a Zoom meeting.
When we started the Replenish Africa initiative in 2009, it was in response to the fact that over 300 million people on the African continent lacked access to safe water and sanitation. And we believed and built RAIN to try to address that need.
Now, Carlos, can you tell me, how do you select the projects that you invest in? What is the criteria?
So, we don't try to make funding decisions based on what we know in Atlanta. We really rely on our colleagues all around the world that live and work in communities where we do business. And we look to them to help us identify the key partners and initiatives that will help address the needs locally. And so in dealing with the Replenish Africa initiative, we've worked with dozens of partners across the continent, all that have strong track records of delivering results against the objectives that we've set for the program. So whether it's helping us achieve large numbers of people with safe water access, or helping us with projects like the Upper Tana Nairobi Water Fund. The Nature Conservancy operates water funds around the world, and so they have this expertise that they can bring to bear to help really deliver the impacts that we're looking for.
The information and the theory behind all of this is indeed overwhelmingly positive, but TV is a visual medium, so it's time to hop on a flight, a local one mind you, and head off to one of my favorite cities again, Cape Town, where we'll be deep diving into the Greater Cape Town Water Fund. In 2017 to 2018, Cape Town experienced one of the worst droughts in a century. Now, to make sure there's water security, the City of Cape Town, the Western Province, and the Department of Environmental Affairs came together to make a plan. The plan was to clear all invasive plant species from critical catchment areas. In conjunction with the City of Cape Town and Cape Nature, TNC identified 7 priority zones that had these invasive plant species. The first being Atlantis Aquifer and the second Vemershoek Dam catchment area. We're on our way to meet Louise Stafford, who is the Director of Water Fund South Africa. Basically, she makes sure there is funding to make sure that there's water, in Cape Town, the Western Cape. And one of those funders is Coca-Cola, so I can't wait to chat to her.
I'm Louise Stafford, and I'm the Source Water Protection Director for the Nature Conservancy in South Africa. And part of my role is to establish water funds, which is a governance and a finance mechanism to work with different stakeholders to secure water for cities and for regions. It was predicted that Cape Town will run out of water by 2021. So the city of Cape Town back in 2014 started with measures such as water demand management to drive, and there was quite a significant reduction in water use. I think that it was about 45% that they drove the demand down. But it was still, the population is growing, so with the increase in population, people need more water. So we reached the situation now where the demand is about to outstrip the supply. So the city looks for other options such as desalination, groundwater exploration, increasing the dam capacity. But the one element that was missing up until recently with the new water strategy of Cape Town was working with nature. Nature-based solutions is the most cost-effective, sustainable way of augmenting water. And the city bought into that. The city even approved a 3-year funding of 50 million rand to invest in nature-based solutions. And through that exploration, other partners came on board, the national government, the provincial government, and then, of course, the private sector and other NGOs such as WWF. So it's a collaborative approach, yeah. So, and then when we started developing the business case, that was in 2018, when the dams were empty. So you saw the dams, or you will see the dams this week. We are very happy because the dams are 100% full. But back in 2018, we were looking at day zero. So there was a fear that the city could run out of water. And when you're in that situation and you say, but if we clear a few trees up there in those mountains and
that suck up all the water.
People will say, but where's the water?
Yes.
There's no water. So it was a very challenging time, but at that stage the city needed to find ways of avoiding the taps from running dry. But we persisted and continued to work with the city, and in November 2018 we launched the business case. We did the calculations and we saw that if we focus on 7 priority areas in the Western Cape water supply system, which is the system upon which Cape Town depends for its water, we can gain 76% of the current water losses. Coca-Cola was actually one of our first private sector donors, and we started very small with a group of women on the Atlantis Aquifer, and we expanded the work now and escalated with other partners coming on board, and the continued support of Coca-Cola, where we now have 260 jobs that we're creating. And just in the first year from working together, we already cleared 9,000 hectares.
Wow, Louise, what a woman. Oh, I'm so inspired by her and the passion she has for her job. I mean, 25 years in the industry. And not only that, she also empowers other women. I thoroughly enjoyed that interview. Wow, what a beautiful day in Cape Town. I'm here at High Angle Training Center to speak to Dion, who puts these girls and guys through their paces before they get anywhere near a mountain. And trust me, I've seen pictures of these mountains and they are high. Hi ladies.
Hello.
Minjani?
Pinjani.
Now I see the ladies are already strapped in, harnesses are on. Can you just explain why all of this, and is it heavy?
Okay, they are wearing full body harnesses, and they are kitted out now so that each of them can go down a rope or abseil to go down, and they can change over on the ropes without reaching the ground if necessary, and they can climb back up the ropes if they have to. So this is the basic set of equipment to enable descent and ascent of the fixed ropes.
In terms of physical strength, how important is it? Does weight matter, you know, size?
You need a certain degree of physical strength for sure. But it's not only arm strength you're looking at, because you'll notice they're hanging in the harness. And then to go up the rope, they stand in the foot loop, which is attached to the top clamp, the jumar.
Okay, I see.
So you go up the rope by standing up and sit down. Stand up and sit down. But they're now going to change over while hanging on the rope. In other words, change from your climbing equipment to your descending equipment.
Okay.
So it's a very straightforward technique, and it forms the basis of a lot of the work on rope. The changeover. Yeah, changing direction.
I'm dizzy right now, just looking up there. It's not for me, no. Power to these girls, Shem. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing them on the mountain. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing, like in action, when we're out there, you know. We're actually on our way to somewhere near Franschhoek to meet amazing strong women who remove invasive plant species. And I'm just so excited because you know what? We're getting there by chopper. It's all the way up a mountain. I can't wait. It's my birthday, so let's go. Okay, so this is the chopper. I think we all geared up because apparently we're going to be there for quite a while. We actually have lunch and everything with us. Okay, so I am quite excited. I'm just happy the weather is agreeing with us because I haven't been on a chopper in such a long time. And I must say, you know, it's a bit daunting, but these guys are experienced. They do this all the time. So yeah, crossing fingers, but we should be fine. I'm excited.
The weather is funny up there. There's a lot of rolling wind over those hills, which affects your flight.
And is the weather great? Or like you said, it's windy and it's turning wind?
Okay, we don't know what it's like up there, and that's the problem. Now, for example, if you look behind you, those clouds, you can see how they're being torn apart up there.
Yeah.
That means that there's turbulence.
Okay, I am good. Are we good to go? Woo! Okay. 4 minutes, right? Yes. I'm excited, guys. We're doing this for a good cause. Ah, we're going up! Oh my God!
Okay, we've got lots of power.
Ooh. Not power, it's alright.
Everyone all right? All good. All good.
Obviously tell they're up in the air, and yeah, so far feeling good. And I mean it's 4 minutes, so I won't have time to get pre-feed or things. But I'm loving the view. Yeah, I can't wait to see what's on that mountain. Safe and sound. That was amazing. Oh my goodness. I will not forget that.
Now Ross is on his way to fetch the rest of the guys, Wesley and the ladies, so they can tell us why we're here and what this campsite is for.
So the pine trees that they'll be removing today, pines are one of the most, if not the most invasive alien plant species in South Africa. So the reason for them removing the trees is because of the amounts of water that these trees take up while being out in our catchments. So by removing the pine trees, we're allowing for a higher water yield and more water runoff into our catchment areas and into the dams. And obviously the dams feeds into the municipalities and to the cities around us. So the water fund has essentially been more or less 2 years in existence.
2 years?
2 years, yeah.
Okay, so basically since the drought? Or before, just before?
Just before.
Okay.
Or during even, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so our goal is to clear 54,000 hectares.
Yeah.
Within the 7 priority sub-catchments.
Yeah.
Within Theewaterskloof, the Theewaterskloof catchment, there is three sub-catchments that we're working in. One's called the Toys, that's the one we're in now.
Yeah.
And then we have the Upper Rivier Zonne-end, it's just a bit further on.
Okay.
And then we have Elandskloof, which is just over that way. So those are the three sub-catchments, priority sub-catchments that we're working with in the Waterskloof Dam area. But a lot of this work, before the Water Fund, the Greater Cape Town Water Fund was established, a lot of this work wasn't being done because of a lack of funding and our current conservation organizations not having the capacity to clear areas like this, the rope access areas. So we have working on fire that has an invasive alien clearing component, a subdivision within working on fire, called the high altitude teams. So they do this kind of work. So we only had working on fire's high altitude teams do this work within the Western Cape, but they work throughout South Africa. But just having them wasn't enough. The work was too much just to have one body or a couple of teams doing this work. So with the Water Fund, training rope access technicians to do this kind of work, it just helps so much. We're trying to achieve our goals with clearing the 54,000 hectares. Okay, so just from the start, the rope access technician, she completed her anchor on top, on one of the bigger trees on top. She tied her ropes to it. So she tied two ropes to her anchor. One is a safety rope and one is a main line. The safety line is just what it is. It acts as a safety line to protect her in case a main rope gets cut or damaged in any way. So the safety line is there to stop her from falling. And then she went on further down. So the reason for her going down is to cut the vegetation at the bottom or on the cliff face and at the bottom of the cliff face. You can't get to these areas without having rope access equipment and having safety ropes on you. So that's what she's basically doing. She went down over the edge to clear the vegetation on the cliff face and to clear the vegetation at the bottom of the cliff. So the vegetation I'm referring to is the invasive pine trees that we find in this area that these teams are contracted to clear and to cut down. So once they're over the edge, they don't stay too long down over the edge. So they cut what they need to cut and they'll come back again. Especially if you're hanging, if you're solely dependent on the ropes and hanging down, that is a bit difficult. It can be strenuous on your legs and your body in general. It can even cut off the flow of your blood to your legs if you're hanging down with your weight onto your harness, because the harness can cut quite into your legs, even though there's padding into it. So we've had issues before, not necessarily with this team, but we've had instances where people actually, from being too long on the ropes, actually fainted. Okay, so what she did at the bottom after she cut down that tree, she's coming back up again. So she just did a changeover. She went on, she came off from her descending device, which is a rig. She came onto a crow, ascending device, and she's going to pull herself back up again with this device. So she's keeping her safety devices on till it is safe enough for her to take off. If this area was flatter, she could have done it after she came over the edge, but because we're still on a slant and on a steep slope, she'll keep her safety devices on up until she gets to the anchor and only then take it off. When the chopper brings the teams up for them to start their camping session, not just the ladies but the entire team would set up the camp. From the kitchen to the tents in which they are sleeping, there's toilet facilities as well. So what they would do is they would take the first day to set up the entire camp, everybody get themselves comfortable, established within the work area, then the next day that follows. So they would usually come over the weekend. Their work site is divided into different sections. So the contractor would do that, so they would clear a section, a certain amount of hectares within the week or the day. So they have a daily plan that they work towards. So they wouldn't just haphazardly or randomly work in any part of the contract area. So they would move from one section within the plan, clear the entire, and then up until the entire contract area is done.
You created a mock-up, just take us through that. And if, pine trees that, they already been burnt, so there's no use for them anyway. You were just trying to show us, had we gone there, so that's what would have happened.
So essentially what I did was I gave you guys a sample of what the ladies would have done in an area where there are living and standing pine trees that needed to be cut. So they would do exactly what you just saw there down the cliff that they just went down. The only difference was there wasn't any live pine trees, but that whole process would have been followed in an area where there are live pine trees to cut. So that they would have to do every day. Attach the safety lines, attach the necessary equipment for them to go down to the areas where they need to cut the pine trees.
Hi Thandeka, yo siswam niyasebenza. Hi, Chonga. I just said she works. These women work like Nizimpokoto. Power to you guys. Tell us, how did you get into this? Like, where did you even start? Were you also part of the girls and then you became a contractor, or how did you stumble across this business?
Unfortunately, I was unemployed when I got into this, and I started with sandparks under Table Mountain. When the TNC advertised the opportunity for people to join the high altitude teams, so I grabbed the chance. We started. Yeah, I saw an opportunity. Then I ran with it. Then I was the first person here in Cape Town to have independent, like on your own, working on high altitude. Normally it's people that are working under government.
Yes, wow, so power to you, sister. That's amazing, congratulations.
I'm Nelisiwe Mtembu. I'm a Arab technician. I did the training last year.
Okay.
Yes, on May.
Yeah, and I hear you're one of the first girls, if not the first, that, you know, made it through and started this job.
Yes.
Weren't you nervous? How are you feeling when you got the job?
I was too nervous. I felt like a hero that time.
Yes.
When they told me that I am competent.
Yeah. That's amazing. And, you know, how do you train yourself mentally now? Because I did you go through the training, but it's different when you now put on site.
Since D1, the person that trained us at high angle, taught us everything and the strategy, how to do the anchors. I'm always aware that, okay, I put my safety first.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what keeps me going.
Yeah. So as long as you make sure
I'm safe.
You're safe, and
Yes.
you've got everything that needs, you double check everything.
Yes.
So would you say that's where gay women do have an upper hand than men? That
Yes,
we
yes.
look at everything, eh?
Yes, I would say that.
Yeah. Okay. The Coca-Cola Foundation and Coca-Cola System Seed investment into the Greater Cape Town Water Fund has resulted in 20% of the invasive trees cleared so far. Importantly, it has also helped to attract many other partners and funders so that the project can reach its goals. With the help of the government and other private sector contributions, over 12,000 hectares have been cleared, which conserves native vegetation and reduces the severity of wildfires. Already, an estimated 5 billion litres of water has been reclaimed for the Greater Cape Town region, and 260 jobs have been created, 50% of them for women.
The future day zero will come. We're going into climate change is going to cause another repeat of the situation. We hope that by when the next day zero situation occurs, that the catchments are cleared, and that will buy time of up to 2 months water supply when the rains come. So even though the rains, we're happy because the dams are full of water, but this is the time where we need to focus on nature so that when the next time comes, we're more prepared than we are.
I have a personal story for water. I come from a community at the Lake of Victoria. They, in theory, have access to water. In practical terms, they don't. I've seen my grandmother and every woman that I know, including myself. If you ask me for anything, the thing that silently goes through my mind is, will I have water? The first thing we think when we go to bed, when we get up, is water. It defines who we are, what we do during the day, how we build houses, how we cook, how we wash, what we wear, every single thing. Because that water is there, but it's not clean and it's not safe.
My trip in Cape Town has been amazing, but what has made it even more special was to see the amount of work that TNC does, especially regarding women empowerment. So kudos to Coca-Cola for being part of such a great initiative. Sadly, I have to say goodbye, and I have to say goodbye to that mountain. So for me, Asana Marco, I'll see you next time.